Right, just another quick video, right? It's about the in-tank pump replacement on petrols and diesels. What a rip-off, mate. What a waste of money. Okay, so I'll give you my quick version on it. Okay, so on a lot of servicing, including Toyotas and petrol engines, so all makes and models here. Calling all makes and models. Have you got a fuel tank? Have you got an in-tank fuel filter? What a stupid idea. Let us know in the comments if you're one of the people that has to work on these things, working with petrol, getting all smelly and fumy to change a bloody fuel filter in a tank, dropping tanks or moving seats and carpet and accessing tanks and pulling crap out of tanks to change a filter that should simply just be in the fuel line somewhere like it always used to be, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a good idea from doing that. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've got any real good information, and try and convince me that, no, it's actually really good, you know, doing in-tank filters, you know. I think it was to make money, because at the end of the day, you know, vehicles, they're low maintenance now. You change your oil, you change your air filter, change your spark plugs a long life, wheel bearings are all sealed, brake fluid every couple of years, every 40,000 Ks. That's about it. Not much else. Maybe a cabin filter. Not a lot of maintenance. Not a lot of things go wrong. They can't sell you much. Tyres are tyres. They keep those bloody coming out with not much tread, so they wear out quick for you, don't they? Yeah. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Brake pads are brake pads. You know, they wear out eventually. The genuine Toyota ones last ages. If you're nice on your brakes, you hardly ever, never be changing them. Nothing. You don't have any other problems with Toyotas. You just keep driving. That's how it works. So there's no money. So maybe they did this thing to create a bit of work. Oh, we'll put a filter in the tank, and then you just can make $500 extra at that service. Anyway, in my opinion, don't change it. Waste of money, waste of time. Worst case scenario, for fuel filters in petrol engines, when they start to become blocked, what happens is not enough fuel can get through, generally at higher revs and higher load conditions. Might have done a video on this recently, but it doesn't matter, I'll just mention it again. And the fuel won't get through, and you'll get like a flat spot, you know, so you'll be like, and it'll sort of cut out on you, and you'll back off. You know, anyone ever driven a car on gas, LPG? More common to, you know, you'll notice on that. If you keep flooring it, it'll backfire and blow things to pieces, and then it'll cost you a couple $100. So that's probably why that gas stuff's on the way out. But anyway, petrol engine, that's what happens. It won't blow up on you or anything like that. It just leans off, nothing happens. You back off and away you go again, right? That means you need to change your fuel filter if not enough fuel's getting through. Simple stuff. Now on the diesels, let's go to the dual tank, the Prados for a minute, because there was no service schedule for this, and then they brought it in on some 150k services, and I don't know if it's in again, out again, and whatever, because I don't care. I've got my own service schedule. Do you think if we have a problem with a fuel transfer unit, that's not usually the pump anyway, but let's just pretend we're having problems with them. Let's say it was 1 in 1,000 we're having problems with them. Do you think then it's good economy for me to change my whole service schedule at the Prota Hospital and what I recommend on 4x4 diesel? Oh, look everybody, we've had a failure of a fuel pump or a transfer, whatever happened. So now I think everybody should change that unit every 150,000 Ks. We've got to drop the tanks, takes a few hours, working in your fuel tank. We might not put it back together properly and cause other problems for you, break things and that as well, right? Like, you've got to drop this big tank, which means you've got to bring it in low on fuel, or we're going to take your fuel out. We might put it back, but it might be contaminated, or we might tell you that, you know, oh, we can't put it back because we can't keep it clean, and then you just got to go and refuel your tank again, another couple $100, or these days about 300 or 400, fill up your Prado. Just awesome, right? And then you pay that sort of money again on top. You know, you got to buy the pump or the assembly, whatever you put in there, plus all the labour to change it, because what? It might happen to you. I mean, it doesn't stop the vehicle. You just got to put more fuel in it. I mean, it's not transferring till you get it sorted. So you're just you're still better than a Hilux or a Mazda or something that's got a smaller tank, right? So just don't travel alone, and make sure you got your RAC, because it's very low chances. I'd say less than 1 in 1,000. So in my opinion, you don't waste all that money, 1,000 people spending all this money doing something as prevention. It's probably not going to happen. Mate, I'd rather, like I've said it before, I'd rather guess that change your alternator every 150,000 Ks, or your starter motor, and that's probably not going to happen either. But the alternator is probably more higher risk than your fuel transfer system, right? And what do they change? Do they change the whole unit or just the pump? Because the pump isn't usually the problem when there is a problem. So if it's just the pump, well then that was a waste of time anyway, right? Because they'll probably cause a problem. Anyway, this is what I believe causes the fuel transfer. The whole reason that extra filter at the back there is to Keep it clean so the Venturi system doesn't get contaminated. It's a tiny little hole where things have got to go through, right? What I think happens is when the fuel filter gets changed, perhaps every now and then some manufacturing debris on the wrong side of the filter, and that could be what actually ends up in there. Maybe a dirty fuel filter change job, things along these lines, right? So a bit of contamination getting in where it's not meant to, and it is very rare. We haven't had one or heard of them for months, and every now and then it does happen, and we've got the fuel transfer units in stock, so if you need one, just let me know, and we can, it's in the box, we'll just send it out, whatever, quicker, cheaper, better, longer, however it goes. Point is, you don't need to do it as prevention. Take precautions in case it's going to happen to you. For example, what I do before a big trip is I run my fuel tanks down in the couple of times in the month before, and so you change your fuel filter. You don't do it. I've said this before. You don't get service and fuel filters done the week before you go away, because there's a possibility that these people forget things, right? And then it causes problems for you. So you get all your servicing done weeks before, at least 2, probably 3 or 4. Get it done well before if you can. If you actually even trust anyone to go and get things done and you're not doing it yourself yet, right? And you want reliability, you do that, really? Anyway, okay, fair enough, no problem. Do that, but do it well before, so there's time to see if there's any problems. And if it includes changing that filter, then you need to run the tank down once or twice, down to quarter of your last tank, or even lower than quarter on your 150 gauge, or down to quarter of your 90 litre like the 120, to make sure you've got fuel. Don't test it on a trip. Don't just always fill it up and only run it down to half and keep your fuel tank fuel because you've got cheap fuel, and you're only going to run it down for the first time in 2 years when you go on a trip. Don't do that, because that's where you're going to find out the hard way. V6 people, you don't need to worry about it. 1KZs, you don't need to worry about it. It's just 1KD, 1GD diesels, right? So just be aware of what's going on. You be aware by subscribing, turning the bell on, and you can learn not to worry about changing these silly in-tank fuel filters and all that. You're just wasting big money getting it done, and it's a prevention that isn't worth preventing. Do you get what I mean? So I hope that helps. You can subscribe and turn the bell on for the next one, but there's always plenty more videos coming one way or another. Come on, mate, what are we doing? We're going to move over? Or what? We're not even doing the speed limit. Come on, people. Look, see, now people are cracking it back there. They're going, mate, I'm going back. Now we stepped on it. Now we're away. Yeah, wakey. There we go. Anyway, it's all good. That's what happens, because people are tired. They've had a big weekend, big night, big day at work, whatever it's been, and their brain isn't functioning properly. And there you go. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bada binga, bada boom. Catch you on the next one. See ya.